What do you think the largest breakthrough will be within STEM in the next 10 years?
I feel like I probably have better astronomy specific answers.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the next big next sort of generational space telescopes like JWST and others. Particularly a field that I'm really interested in is exoplanets and planet formation. So I think that it's already the field of finding planets around other stars has already exponentially grown in the last like 2 decades. I think in another decade, we're going to have larger samples of planets that and spectroscopy of planets, which will allow us to see a little bit what's in their atmospheres. That points us to, you know, not necessarily like little green men landing on Earth, but points us to a better picture of how common habitable worlds are and whether there are worlds that have sort of tantalizing signs of life on them. I don't know if that's like a specific, the technology is really amazing. So I think it's a breakthrough in terms of the technology that people have proposed, and that we'll be able to possibly, some of the telescopes people proposed in the next, you know, to be launched in the next several decades are breathtaking in the engineering that's required to get these to work. But I think the scientific discovery, I don't know, that would have really inspired me to become an astronomer as a kid. And so I think that will inspire another generation of young scientists, hopefully lots of young female scientists.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about this actually, and he said something that was really interesting. Regardless of what we find, if we end up finding nothing and if we end up finding something, whatever the case is, it's going to bring us together as a planet, because it's either going to be, oh, like we're alone in the universe, or it's going to be like, oh, there's this other life form and we're the people of Earth and then there's something else. So either way, no matter what happens, it's going to be a very uniting factor.
Yeah, so I think it's something that it's even weirdly one of these things that like there's a unfortunately a heavy history of you know, politics and particularly astronomy and space exploration with NASA and things like that being tied together in interesting ways. But exploring the moons of our outer solar system, anything that has to do with finding, you know, answering some of those really big questions, I think is usually a thing that most people agree is a really interesting and worthwhile pursuit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then quickly, I just wanted to say something that I'm looking forward to in the next, I guess it'll be a couple of years, but I'm not 100% sure. And I mean, it's not anything big, but it's just going to be very interesting when we lose contact with the Voyager space shuttles, because it's going to be really interesting that, I mean, for the first time since they've been launched, that we're no longer going to be able to keep up their progress. We're just going to have to assume that they're still, you know, going out there. So do you know when that's supposed to happen? Do you know, like, how soon?
No, how soon? So both Voyagers have already left the sort of the bounds of what we consider our solar system, which has a very fluid, depends on who you ask sort of definition. But them and the Pioneers, Pioneer telescopes have traveled a long distance. They all have these plaques, and you've probably heard of this, by the way, these postcards, the engineers placed in them that are basically postcards from Earth. That
I know, like the golden disc.
Yeah, the golden plaques. So it's kind of crazy to think of them floating off into space, carrying that message. Though, yeah, I don't know when exactly we'll lose contact with them. So they're usually they only sort of intermittently are used to send signals back to us here. So, but yeah, that will be exciting. I'm really excited for planned visits to the moons of the outer solar system. I think could also be game changing.
That'll be so cool. I didn't even know about that. But anything with space is so intriguing because it's what they call it, like the last great frontier. Anything is going to be so cool. So for my last question, I was wondering if you could give any advice to any young girls in STEM, and also if you could tell me something that you wish you knew about STEM when you were younger.
That's a good question. Okay. My general advice, I guess, would be to find someone you can ask your questions to comfortably, right? So find that person that you can ask for advice from. That's my general advice. Something I wish I knew about STEM that I didn't. It definitely is field dependent, but it's a lot of work. And some fields, if you want to go all the way along on sort of the academic track, are very competitive. And so I guess this could be another piece of advice. It can sometimes be hard to find that sort of perfect role that you want for yourself, or that you envision your career heading in. I got really lucky because I love teaching, and Emory has a very unique role for professors who are teaching track, who teach a lot more than they do research. But I was lucky to find that my sort of niche carved out. But I guess other advice would be, keep an open mind, and only do the things that make you happy. That was very generic advice, but it's true. So keep an open mind. I think it's worth pursuing STEM in college and even throughout graduate school, even if you think your career might one day take you in a different direction. It's a valuable tool set to have.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a great one. Bye. See ya.